Hi, my name is Jennifer Faust, and I am the founder and the managing partner of Faust Global Partners. And I'm so excited that you're going to spend a little time with me today as I talk to one of my favorite up and coming African designers, Chukwuma. And Chukwuma is the founder and the creator of Wuman. Wuman is a contemporary African fashion brand, which is founded in 2013, based in Lagos, Nigeria. I had the pleasure of getting to know Chukwuma through the UN's Ethical Fashion Initiative. For many years, I was an international advisor to the EFI and some of their programs, including the African Fashion Accelerator. And so Chukwuma is going to be joining me today. I'm excited to introduce you to him and to talk about all sorts of things, from what inspires him, what it's like to be a Nigerian creative, to learning more about his brand and how he integrates sustainability into it, and also to kind of share some of his future hopes and dreams for his art and for his labels. So thank you so much. And I look forward to introducing you to Chukwuma. Let's kind of start, and to people that are new to you and to your art and to even Nigeria, please tell us a little bit about yourself and tell your story, the path that you took to becoming an artist and a fashion designer.
My name is Chukwuma Ekwerike, and I'm a fashion artist based in Lagos, Nigeria. I was born in Lagos, raised in Lagos, and then I moved over to the south part of Nigeria called Port Harcourt. It's a state, River State precisely. Well, I fell in love with fashion during my early university days, but I've always been an artist from childhood. So I love to draw on my books, on my notebooks most of the time. And I had this gothic writing, so it just, for me, was fascinating because my writing was so different from everyone's writing in my class in primary school. So I just kept on trying to experiment with it, and one thing was leading to another. I was forming certain motifs I really liked, and I kept on with it even in secondary school. But then it didn't make so much sense until my early university days, when I had this encounter with the course, human anatomy, which, like I always say, I had this love-hate relationship with it, in the sense that I hated its literature, but I loved the fact that there were so many drawings to look at. I had this book, Frank Netta. Every medical student should know that book. So I was always looking at it, but I never wanted to read anything about its literature because there were just too many strange terms. There was this particular lateral, sagittal. There's too many terms in anatomy. So I didn't necessarily see myself as fitting into that mode of being a doctor. So, but I just knew I wanted to express myself. And at the time between my first and second year at the university, my personal style was also developing. It had changed from what I used to wear back in secondary school. And so I had friends who would tell me that, oh, they found my ways of dressing eccentric and quite weird. But the more they said it was weird, the more it seemed like um, I kept on at it, experimenting. Well, most of the time I wore garments that were what we call streetwear today, and it mixed with prints. So it got to a point where I really wanted to create garments that came from me, because I was having so many ideas at the time, and it seemed like I was just limiting it to styling the garments I bought from stores or online. And then my relationship with anatomy had to come to an end because I decided I wouldn't want to become a doctor. So one fascinating thing, and the very interesting part of anatomy was the female form. I just saw myself drawing particularly the female form, the shape, the curvature, silhouette, and that seemed to be what interested me the most. And I remember one night in my room, I had this apparition. It's a very weird story. I had this apparition where I saw a female silhouette reflecting on my door, and I was like, "Come!" Like it just seemed like the whole female form stuff was what's the word, haunting me sort of. So I just agreed, okay, that let me accept this. I want to study this. I want to develop it, and I kept on drawing. And the beauty of it all is that the fluidity that came out as a result of these experimentations helped make my forms, my drawing forms, very fluid. So I could draw curves very easily. I could draw a straight line without, like I noticed my straight lines with my hand was perfect than with a ruler. So I just saw myself doing a whole lot of things I didn't know I could do, and I like every day I thought the previous day was something very fascinating, and the coming days were just bursting with new ideas, and I just started feeling this inner power, like I really possessed something that was unique. So at the time, being that my style was developing and then the drawing, the art aspect was developing as well. So that was the point where I felt I should um, birth my fashion brand. So I tried a few names to start up with, but none of them really clicked in my head. So I remember I did a competition in 2013, multi-choice DSTV Fashion Protege, and I applied for it while I was sick, and I just did it, and I just felt maybe I wouldn't go far in it. So surprisingly, I got an email one day saying that I was picked, and then I traveled back to Lagos, went for the semi-finals. I didn't make it to the finals, but I was just so happy that this one thing I had fallen in love with was actually working for me.
Right.
And it gave me more joy more than medicine. So I just decided that I would dedicate my life and self to it. So from then on,
What did your, I mean, first, does anybody in your family, kind of have that artistic spin and talent like you have? And what did your family think when you said, I'm moving from medicine to focus full time on art and then eventually fashion design? Because that's a pretty big pivot.
so, well, as usual with most African parents, or even it might even be universal, of African families, let me use that because certain people in my family didn't have an issue with it. Like my elder brother did not. He was very encouraging. A few of my uncles didn't like it at all because they saw fashion as just a hobby. Um,
And do you have any early kind of remembrances or ideas that when you first saw somebody as an artist? And is there anyone that you kind of looked up to and said, hey, I mean, I too can be an artist? That you recognize that this was a potential path for you?
Well, the only artist who sparked something in me is the late Jean-Michel Basquiat. I don't know, like I just feel like me and Basquiat share something. So I remember when I first encountered his work, I just wanted to see more of it, and I just loved the the energy he put forward, even though he had um, quite a bit of an uneasy life. But I found his life inspiring. I found his approach, his beginnings. I realized we share a lot in common in terms of anatomic drawings, which you can see in most of his paintings. And something I learned from him was approaching art as a naive person, in the sense that I did not want to bother myself much with the rigid rigidity of the art world or the fashion world. Like with being, I didn't want to getting in a way like I would have been bothered with being too professional, being too technical. I just painted, I just drew spontaneously. Like when it hit my mind, I would wake up at any time, and anything I found around me, I would use it to work. And it just helped me keep experimenting. So I didn't have limits to what I was putting out. Like I remember I could draw 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. straight without leaving my seat.
Yeah.
So that was one of the lovely stuffs, things I picked up from Jean-Michel Basquiat. So he's the only artist I think I would always reference anytime. And there are a lot of other people too who I find their work very interesting. In terms of fashion, I don't know if there's any designer particularly. I I just enjoy a lot of the diversity in terms of how very different designers are. But it's just Basquiat for me.
Mhm. Yeah, what kind of music inspires you? Do you actually put music on when you design or you draw?
I have to listen to music to draw most of the time.
And
Most
what
of
do
the
you
time.
listen and what do you listen
So
to?
I love so many genres of music. I listen to mid tempos a lot. I listen to reggae. I listen to I like Baby Amali a lot. Um, I listen to I know there's this artist in Sweden. His name is The Land Below. Like he's one of my favorite artists, and his music inspired a lot of my works as well. In terms of it helps me relax and really meditate. And then the Nigerian artist Wizkid, I listen to Wizkid a lot. I listen to Burna Boy, uh, DJ Mustard, so many people like, and then the oldies like the older R&Bs like Michael Bolton,
Yeah.
um, Paula Abdul, uh, so many people. There's just anything that helps or connects with my soul and helps me relax and draw seamlessly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit how being Nigerian has impacted your art.
Um, well, so many things. Nigeria is filled with so much diversity. Nigeria is an interesting place, particularly I may be biased to say this, but Lagos, because I was born in Lagos, and Lagos is like a melting pot of creative people, like of so much happening, the beauty, the ugly, the fast, the slow. Like you find all kinds of people here, and there's so much competition. Like I remember from primary school, like you just had to be so competitive and good at, because when you thought that you were so good at something, you'll be surprised to find out that you in the next day find someone who is almost better than you at that thing. So you'd have to go back and try to do even better. So I think my upbringing in Lagos exposed me to so many cultures. Like I grew up around different people, like multi-ethnic people. So there were so many stories happening. There was too many things going on, different expressions from different people. Sorry, let me. So different expressions from different people. Uh, the city itself was so like inspiring. Like you could wake up every day and there's something new about Lagos, even though you probably think you've been around that same place. So all this put together, my origin, um, um, where I come from the southeastern part of Nigeria, is also a place filled with so much heritage, like so much culture, beauty, tradition. So all these things woven together, I think, has formed what is my um, artistic DNA today, or design DNA. So in that way, I just feel like Nigeria has, there's this spirit every Nigerian has. They need to work hard and excel. So it's in almost all Nigerians. So most times you hear people say Nigerians are everywhere. They are trying to be so good at do this. Like you find them in virtually every field. Like because we all want to succeed.
Mm.
So I think that has been a major push in my journey as a creative person.
It sounds like you're excited then about the future of not only Nigeria, but then also to the fashion industry within Nigeria. And what about kind of the broader continent, right, of Africa?
Yeah, so I'm very excited. I like, for me, there's been a renaissance for some years now. Like you just see an outburst of so many creative people in different forms in Nigeria, ranging from film to painting to performance to comedy. Comedy is doing so well in Nigeria at the moment.
Really? I didn't
Um,
know that.
yeah, you should check it out. Like so well. And just when you think you've seen one, you see like 100 more people, and everyone is different in their approach. So and then theater, writing, there's so many great writers here. So I feel like well, it's a coming of age for for Nigeria and for Africa, um, in terms of our creativity at this moment. And so I am very optimistic. I just my wish is that the economy is able, the
Mm.
political structure and economic state of the continent would be able to support its creative people and its youth in general. And definitely we would succeed,
Right.
I think.
It
And
sounds
I'm
like
sure.
it sounds like there's a really vibrant, creative community then too within Nigeria. And do you feel like then it's getting kind of the support that it needs to continue and to grow?
Well, to be honest, the support people we I'm not going to write off that we don't have support in various ways. There's been support. I particularly as a person, as a creative person here, I've benefited from some schemes. So, but it's not enough.
Mm.
And for me, the government isn't paying a significant attention to what the creative sphere needs in Nigeria. But one thing that is interesting to note is most Nigerian creatives have found a way to support themselves in the midst of nothing.
Mm.
Like you virtually see people creating content, creating art from the very little, from confined spaces, from very little income, from just even their communities. Like I mentioned in terms of comedy, because I find the young comedians, so inspiring because like a lot of them create wonderful short films with the list of cameras. You won't even believe it. And when you watch these things, you just at times personally when I watch it, I feel like crying because I can imagine what they go through. And couple of months later, you find so many of them sharing their growth stories, their lives change, and
Mm.
all that all that happens without little or no government support, if not nothing. And then so in a situation where we now have some um, limitations in terms of policies being put forward by the government trying to inhibit creative,
Mm.
like um, inhibit the creative process for most people. It's just sad. So my hope is that the government would see how vibrant the creative space is in Africa and do their best to support. You look at, for example, with music, you see the story of the journey of people like Whiskey, Burna Boy, Davido. Like these are guys who I'm not sure the government gave them any form of support, but look at where they are today. Some of them are doing so well on the international space, and I feel like with more support would even do better.
So let's talk a little bit more then about Woman and about not only your art, but also to your fashion, which of course, fashion was how you and I were kind of connected in the first place. So could you talk a little bit about what is your label? How you put the company together, what you design?
Um, so Wuman is a contemporary women's wear. I started with women's wear, and then I evolved into menswear, and then with a lot of pieces that cut across, so sort of unisex. And then I draw inspiration from the female form, African art, culture, architecture, and anything basically that strikes my mind or sparks my curiosity. So I love to create garments that are very rich in heritage. And for me, each of my pieces are like tools to tell a story. So I see garments as storytellers. So I create most of them or all of them with intention and with purpose. And the idea for me is to pass a message and have the customer embody that message and also share that story with who whoever they come in contact with. So, so
What have you found has kind of been the toughest part of having your own label in business?
for me, the toughest part has been coming from an a solely an artistic point of view. Like I did not really even see myself doing business. The only thing like I could reference in the past that kind of um ticked towards that was I used to go visit my dad's office when I was very young and sit on it. You know that CEO seat that you can do the 360 with. So I remember my dad's friends always telling me that, oh, you own a very big business, like you just had this CEO thing. But at that time I was in love with science, so I didn't really see the meaning in what they were saying. So aside that, like I didn't have any form of business knowledge. So I came into fashion with an open mind and with an artistic perspective. So I stuck more on the creative side. So it's been a challenge coming to reality at the beginning, especially that to see that fashion is purely a business and not just um, a platform alone for expressing yourself. Like I had to grow from being the happy creative and to being a businessman, trying to run a business, take orders, reply emails, call, source fabrics, take notes of inventory and all that. So that has been my challenge, I would say, the business know-how of it.
Right. I mean, how do you handle then some of the stress then of balancing all these moving parts, right? I mean, you're responsible for all the creative outputs for designing, and then on top of it too, trying to run a successful business and manage all of that and the people then that are supporting that. I mean, understandably so, that's a pretty busy and overwhelming process. I mean, how do you find that you handle? Is it through meditation, or is it, through spending time with family and friends? I mean, how do you find then some peace in the midst of all of that?
To be honest, I work with artisans, so I don't do everything completely, but I'm pretty much engaged in everything. So even though I'm not going to tailor the garments, I would most of the time be there to supervise it. And then that's after the drawings and textile designs and all that. So it's overwhelming, to be honest, because at the beginning it was something that was quite easy to do because it's my hobby, even though it's my career. It's something I do without stress. So but then with the growth and the orders and the um, twists to it, the challenge is it has become a bit more overwhelming, I must say. So like at times I'm just drained. Especially last year, I remember I shared a lot of my experiences with you. So right now, sometimes when I have to take a break, I take a break and just put things aside and just try to meditate and sometimes just draw, sometimes just read a book, sometimes um, go out, but I rarely go out to be honest. So that's the way I unwind. And hopefully, I'm looking at as I expand to get more hands to help me out, to help me grow the business. So I could even focus more on the creative side completely because I feel like that's where my strength lies. Even though I would want to understand the business.
What in your mind, I mean, what does success, mean to you then, both personally and professionally, Chikuma? I mean, where would you ultimately like to see your label going?
Um, so well, if I look back at years years ago, I would just wanted to build a very what I would have described as a very big brand, global, with so many like the whole world wearing my garments, which is still much my goal. But for me, my major success, or most important part of success, is to impact on people. So it's not about making all the profits in the world, but for me, it's about helping people's lives be better. So, and that I feel fashion and art offers me as a platform to achieve. So my when I look back and see in the future that I've been able to, through my gift as an artist and designer, um, be able to touch as many lives and put smiles on people's faces, help them, especially my continent, Africa. Like I feel like that's why I was created to bring a lot of positive change to Africa.
And I know you have been very involved in, the COVID relief efforts in Nigeria. Could you tell us a little bit about some of the things that you specifically did to kind of support PPE production and distribution in Nigeria? I think that's fascinating what you did. And I think that really speaks to who you are as a person.
Yes, so growing up, I think my dad, one of the things I learned from him is um, being able to stay conscious to um, the happenings of my environment or society. So I remember last year when I read a news on an article on a newspaper, which stated that doctors had died, about 20 doctors from COVID. And so I went as far as calling the Nigerian Medical Association, and the correspondent told me that the doctors died due to um, inadequacies in PPEs, which I found very sad because I just felt like PPEs were just basic things the government could provide for these people who were already risking their lives. And being that I'm drawn to healthcare a lot because my medical school experience and background is a very much important part of my journey as a person. So, and I have a lot of friends who are doctors, family members who I know work in healthcare. So I cried knowing that those doctors died because of lack of PPEs. And it particularly was touching because it was a risk they were taking. These people had family members and they chose to show up every day at hospitals, health centers to treat people. So I said after my after crying that evening, I just had a voice in me saying I should look at some of my works, which I did, and a good friend of mine's name popped up in my mind. I just felt I connected with her and I felt she would share in in this idea because she's a very wonderful person. Her name is Dr. Lisa Egboga. She's an osteopath based in Canada, and so we had discussions, and I told her everything I discovered about the issue, and so we decided that we are going to come up with something. Basically, the idea was to raise funds and purchase PPEs. So she said, since I already briefed her that I did some of those projects in the past by auctioning my artwork. She said, okay, we could pick one artwork and auction, create merchandise out of it and raise funds for PPEs. So she looked at a couple of artworks and I suggested two, and then she picked one of them, which was we must design a better world.
Yeah.
And then the caption was so interesting because it kind of encompassed what we wanted to do. Like at that point, and even at up until now, we know that we just have to design a better world. And the idea is doing it starting from you as a person and then moving on to the next person. So we released the collection first of all, first off as t-shirts, and then we moved into onto sweatshirts, um, sweatpants, and track pants, and socks.
Fantastic. It has to make you be, I think it's so fantastic how you combined, your passion, your creative talent to make such a positive impact, you know what I mean, locally and community. And how is the COVID situation for you and in Nigeria right now?
Well, it's quite dicey in the sense that people still perceive that COVID isn't present. Most people, I think, here in Nigeria, they don't think it's as real as you would imagine. But from my experience, because during the distribution of the PPEs, I personally visited hospitals, isolation centers. So I kind of have first-hand experience of or knowledge that COVID is real. So it's not just you being in your home and you're being told on media that somebody's dying. Like when I visited the isolation center, I was so scared because I saw people for real. Like people people have COVID. So when I see the general approach, although also a good number of people here believe that it's real and they are taking precautions, but the safety approach has reduced actually. So you don't find people wearing masks all the time. So, but I don't think I even blame them so much because it's been exhausting as the pandemic generally. So what I do is I try to do my part, and always when I meet people, I try to tell them that this is real. Like you just have to, the least you can do is wear your face mask.
Yeah. So just a few more questions here as we I know I've taken up so much of your time that, you're such a true creative at heart. I mean, you write, you're an artist, you're a fashion designer. I mean, kind of what's next? I mean, do you plan to publish more books, more art? I mean, how do you kind of see your focus for the next 12 to 18 months?
Well, there's a whole lot of projects coming up. Some I actually planned earlier. I canceled some. Some just happened to not. Some I felt were not ripe for now. But one good thing is I have an exhibition coming up, so I think I think you're one person that knows. So it's been my dream to have my solo exhibition, and I look forward to it in actually next month.
Really? I didn't know this. Congrats. Yay. Tell us about it.
So basically, the exhibition is about um, the state of things now, like how I see things. So it's basically works that are inspired by my mental health journey, my view of the world currently, like, and then some experiences in the past, like when I was in Port Harcourt, um, and insights into the future. So
Good. I can't wait. Are you going to hopefully, as you develop this, put up on social media then some of the time, dates, place, and do some good promotion of it so that we can follow it?
Yeah, for sure. In a few weeks from now, I would put out posts about the exhibition. So, and then I have a pop-up coming up, even though I'm still trying to decide which of them comes first. But those are the two key projects. And I have some projects coming up for, in terms of support for artists as well. So
Excellent. You're as always. I'm a busy guy. I mean, where can people follow you? So can you give us some an insight into, are you website? Then you said social media and Instagram. I mean, if people are interested in learning more about you and your label, and where can they find you?
so I'm easy to find on Instagram. So they can follow me on Instagram at the Wuman brand. That's THEWUMAN brand BRAND, or on my personal page, on my art page at the Art of Woman. So THEARTOFWUMAN.
And if they want to purchase any of your designs and see kind of your latest creations or artwork, is though that's obviously another place too where they can follow and find that.
Yeah, so they can engage directly with my page. There's always options for email or DM, but then they can clients or customers can purchase at Dito Africa,
Yeah.
ditoafrica.com. That's dittoafrica.com, and then or fashionomicsafrica.com. Yeah.
Any final thoughts, Chukwuma, that you want to share with us? What do you want people to remember about you and your label? What's any lasting kind of final thoughts you want to share?
I think I just want people to remember me for and my brand for positive impact, especially on my continent, Africa. That would be my life's goal. Yes.
Yeah, you would feel content. I mean, it's so clear to me that social, spiritual, purpose is really, really important to you. And it really transcends not only you as an individual, but the work that you do as an author, as an artist, and also too as a fashion designer.
Yes. Yeah. Because I've come to a point where I realize that no amount of profit, no amount of assets can supersede positive impact on the lives of people. So there's really no point looking to much more than just impact. And I believe with that, every other thing falls into place. Because that's why I feel we are all created in as much as we chase these other things. But God creates us to actually create, to actually make impact on the lives of others. So no matter who you become or what you acquire, if it's not tied to positive impact on the lives of people around you, it sort of feels like a waste. And I do not want to fall into uh, such a such a state. I would rather that people remember me for the smiles I bring to their faces through my gifts or talent.
Fantastic. So fantastic. I think you know this. I care so much for you. And you certainly have made a very positive impact in my life. And I value our continued friendship so much. And I cannot wait to see the incredible things that are in store for you and for your life, because um, you have just such an incredible heart and creative abilities, and I have no doubt, yeah, that there's a great future in store for you, Chukwuma.
Thank you, Jennifer. The same as well. Like you don't know how much support you've really given to me, and the um, love you've showed and care. Like it's just not something I can quantify. And then I like I told you, there's a painting inspired by you coming up in my exhibition.
I can't wait to see it. When do I get to see it?
You'll see it. Hopefully, I should do a 3D spin of the exhibition, and then you can look at it.
Oh, I cannot wait. I can't wait to see it. And I told you, I'm so honored and yeah, and flattered. And I know you mentioned it's got my favorite color in it, so that makes me even happier.
Yes, pink.
Yeah, I do. I love that pink. I love that bright, vibrant pink. So is there anything else you want to share? How can people help you? How can people support the work that you do and you?
I'm open to any form of support at all. It could be in form of engaging with me, trying to know my story, trying to funding is also there. Um, Spreading the message, like telling people more people about my brand, sharing my work, making a purchase, basically, and keeping communication lines open, or um, setting up conversations to expand on my work, basically.
Well, good. Well, I am so grateful for your time today, and my hope is that this will serve too as an opportunity for more people around the world to get to know you as an individual, and to get to know your art and your label. And I have loved reading your poetry and you're an incredible author. I know you've got more plans for that ahead. So I can't wait to see. I hope this will be the first of many conversations as you grow and you develop. And as always, Chukwuma, you've got 100% of my love and my support. Yeah. So.
Thank you, Jennifer.